I wrote so many books though so fast that I had to remind myself it's okay that I don't have one coming out right after the other, because as long as I wait, the book will be, I want each book to be better than the last one. You know, I don't want to put out a book that's just like meh, you know, because I forced it. I don't want to force it.
You are now listening to the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer and author of the best-selling book, Stay the Course, Dom Brightman. And you're going to be getting some goodies today from the guest that's up next. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as the Going North podcast, we got another super special, awesome human today in the virtual builder, baby. That's right. You can connect with folks from over 1,000 miles away, hundreds of miles away, thanks to wonderful technology today, where it's 21st century, where the millennials have been drinking a lot. And my goodness, like, forget about the drinking. It's all about the reading, because today's author in particular, a former 911 emergency operator and police dispatcher. And she spent so long in there, 12 long dark depths in there, 12 long years in the dark depths of there. And thanks to being in that environment, she gained a unique insight to mental illness, human behavior, and the general darkness of humanity that she likes to weave into her books. So let's give it up for the fabulous wife and mother to all the way out from the Lone Star State of Texas, Rachael Tamayo. How you doing today, Rachael?
Hi, I'm doing good. We're doing good now, much better than we were. We have our power back and it's warm again. So yeah, we're good. We're good. Thank you for having me.
Ah, yeah, that's right. It's good things that things are good in the neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
That's right. We'll have to put the hoodies back on now.
Yeah. Well, we won't ever be saying it's 50 degrees, it's freezing outside. We're not going to be saying that ever again.
That'll show you.
Yeah, that's not us. For real.
So cold outside. How cold is it? 50 degrees. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah, no, that's it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, that's bikini weather compared to what y'all went through, right?
Oh yeah, that was cold. Whew, it got down. Mm-hmm.
That's right. No longer popsicles. Now you're back to being regular humans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the good news is not about popsicles. It's about the radiant Rachael. So as with all introductions, I'm pretty sure I forgot a whole bunch of stuff about you. So mind filling in any gaps I may have missed about you?
I guess I was an M1 dispatcher for 12 years. I worked for 2 different departments. I retired from that, but definitely it does affect how I write. I started as a romance writer, and I have written 8 books. My 9th book will come out later this year. I've been married for 17 years, and I have been married so long, I'm like, not sure. 17? And I have 2 kids, and my husband's birthday's on Monday. So tell him happy birthday.
Yeah. March babies are always the best. My mom's a March baby too. She's the 21st. So yeah, good times.
Yeah. I think that's my niece's birthday.
There we go. The chain of good people expands.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Expands faster than a waistline.
Hopefully. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, COVID-19 made that speed up for a lot of people.
Yes, that's for sure.
But my goodness, what led you to become a romance writer? Because was it a particular author of a book you read, like in your teenage years? What inspired that?
Well, I don't know. I've been writing ever since I can remember. Basically, as long as I could put a sentence together, I've been writing. When I was a little kid, I used to write little stories and read them to my sister, or write little stories with my friends and put it in, and read them to the class at school or whatever. And as a teenager, I started writing. I wrote full-length books as a teenager, but I didn't do anything with them because I didn't obviously have the skills or the experience. But the fact that I wrote books in itself is a lot. To be able to write that kind of a story that long, it's difficult. And I stopped in my 20s. I just stopped, thinking I was never going to go anywhere with it. And then some years passed and life happened. And one day I was in my I was like 36 or 37. I decided to, because it's always in the back of my mind, sitting down to write again. But it's been so long since I did it that nobody even knew that I did. And so I decided to start writing again, and I started writing, and I took it seriously, and I improved my skills. And it took me about a year of that, and then another year of realizing the story I wrote wasn't right, throwing that out, writing a new one, and then finding a publisher. And then I went from there. And yeah, it was, my husband was like, I didn't even know you wrote. Like, nobody did. Nobody knew. I just didn't share that part of myself for a really long time. And honestly, I wish I hadn't stopped. I wish I'd continued with it, because I can only imagine where I would be now if I hadn't stopped for like 17 years, But I did. But, here I am. I've published 8 books now, and the 9th one is soon to come.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. 9 books, 9 magical babies. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. So what helped you to really get that confidence to finally just come out and be like, you know what? I'm going to publish this work right here and just tell the world, like, you know what? I've been writing books for like ever. I'm tired of hiding in the dark.
It's a difficult first step. To that first book, they'll let other people read it, is a very scary thing for somebody that's never done it. Actually, what helped me was I found a website, and it's, if those of you that are aspiring authors, I would highly recommend it. It's called Critique Circle. That's the name of the website. Basically what it is, it's a group of authors. Some are published, some are experienced, some are new, some have never written before, just all spectrums. Basically, you post chapters of whatever you want to post chapters of, and other authors can come in and critique those chapters by grammar, by content, by, whatever. And you get a range of critiques on what you're writing. So that's what I did. And I found some really good authors that really helped me understand the fact that I was lost, and I couldn't, I needed to decide, am I writing in first person or third person? Am I writing in past or present tense? Because you mix it up and you don't realize what you're doing. And they pointed all these things out to me, and I approved it, and I got to the point where they were giving me the feedback that gave me the confidence to proceed with sharing it. And even after I was published, it still was nerve-wracking to know that the book was going to be out there and people were going to read it. Like, oh my God, people I know are going to read this. And even now, because I write these thrillers that are, psychological and dark, and, murder and mystery and, all this crazy stuff. And people that know me are like, this is you? They read it, you wrote this? And I'm like, yeah, it was me. But now it doesn't bother me. I have a little bit of it, but not like I did back then. It's a scary thing. It is a scary thing. But using a website like that, because they're strangers, they have no attachment to you at all to say, oh, this is really good, when it's really not very good. And they really need to give you good feedback so you can grow and improve. That website was perfect for that, because they're strangers. They have no reason to lie, and it was only feedback that could help.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed, because feedback is indeed the breakfast of champions. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of amazing. Like, I think it was like on social media somewhere where it said that strangers are the new family, because like when it comes to stuff like this, like getting feedback on your novel, the first chapter of
Mhm.
one, heck, even sometimes just getting new business, your strangers support you quicker than family or friends sometimes, if not most
That's
times.
true. Yeah, sometimes you don't get that family and friend support right when you first publish. It just happens, and now with the birth of social media, and it's so much easier to befriend people that you've never actually met. There's that too. And I have a lot of friends, through social media and authors and the publisher that I used to be with, and so scattered all over. I never met them, but I'd definitely call them my friends.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Another benefit of today's writer, you get to get a lot of friends if you decide not to be stingy.
Yeah.
There you go. Don't be stingy and be open. All the friends await you.
Mhm.
That's right.
Mhm.
All the magical friends. So, by goodness, being able to conquer that fear by entrusting some of your work with strangers and that even keeping some work in the closet, probably metaphorically and literally. Do you believe you
Yeah.
might pull those out of the closet and polish them up and maybe show them and give them the light of day?
Mostly no, but the first series I wrote, the a Friend Zone series, is a 3-book trilogy, a romance, just contemporary romance. It was actually born from the characters I created when I was like 17. They stuck in my head that long. The story I wrote then, was crap. It was just no good because I was 17. What did I know? So, I didn't know how to write anything. It was in my blood, and I had to write. I wasn't good at it, but I had to do it. And so that was where I started because I already knew the characters and I had the world created in my head already. And I wrote it actually twice, I think, before I got it right. Because the first one I wrote wasn't good either. And then, well, it was better, but it just wasn't right. And so then I wrote it again, and that one was the one, and it birthed the series. So in a way I did, but the rest of them I wouldn't. I have ideas from back then that I could turn into books now.
Ah, sounds good indeed. And heck, it does take talent too, and heck of a lot of patience. Because back then, you used to actually write your books out on a typewriter.
I
Like,
did. Yeah. I hand wrote. I had like notebooks. I wrote on a typewriter. My dad brought me a word processor at one point. That's how old I am. One of the ones with a little bitty screen, and we're like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, mostly it was a typewriter. I still have them. They're like in the back of my closet, a couple of them typed out. I have them in binders.
ah, the
Mhm.
secret lair of books past. Alrighty.
Mhm.
That's right. Rachel's secret lair. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right
I'm
indeed.
scared to actually read them. I haven't read them in so many years. I don't think I want to, but I have them. I don't think I want to read them.
But hey, at least it was a start. Now you got basically 8 books out with 9 coming out before the year is over. So what helps you to really stay creative and really just embrace and find the muse?
Patience, honestly. There's several different styles of author, and there's those authors that I have to write every day. If I don't write every day, even if it's crap, I just, I'll lose it. I'm complete opposite. If I force it when I don't feel it, I write crap. So I have to tell myself it's okay if I'm not writing. And then a month goes by. Okay, it's okay. We'll get there. Months and months go by sometimes. And like 2020 was a bad writing year for me. I didn't get a lot done. I guess I've talked to other authors that I'm friends with, and they had the same problem. I think it was just such a bad year for everybody. But I wrote so many books though so fast that I had to remind myself it's okay that I don't have one coming out right after the other, because as long as I wait, the book will be. I want each book to be better than the last one. You know, I don't want to put out a book that's just like meh, because I forced it. I don't want to force it. So I have to remind myself to just wait, and it will come to me. And it does. I just have to wait for it. I don't know where the ideas come from. They just strike me like lightning. I don't know.
So do you do the chicken wing dance when it strikes you?
But you can kind of tell because I'm like, oh my God. I have this idea. And I'm sure to tell my husband and tell my friends and, like, oh my God, tell me if this is a good idea. Yeah. I know when I have it. It's obvious. Yeah. Most definitely.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's always good to connect with another author who isn't one of those write every day types, because I'm in that same boat as you. It's like,
Definitely. Yes. You don't have to write every day. There's no rules to it. You really, because there are those that are like, you have to do this and this and this and this. No, you have to do this and this and this and this. Everybody else, you need to do whatever works best for you, whatever inspires you. And if that's, going 6 months without putting one word on a piece of paper, and then lightning strikes you, and then in 2 weeks you've written a 100,000 word novel, yeah, that's great, or whatever works for you. It's just, there's no wrong way to be. It's just however you have to do it to do your best work.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely got to do what works for you, indeed. And if I'm not mistaken, you're another pantser, if I'm not mistaken. You don't go by outlines, right?
Correct. It is both good and very frustrating because like looking at it like, this is such a good idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That is exactly what it is. I started the book and then I have no idea where to go with the book. So I put it down for a month or two, and then I get the lightning, and all of a sudden, I'm smoke's coming off my keyboard, for a few weeks, and then it stops again. It's just, I tried the outline thing. I really did. One time I was like, I'm going to outline it. I'm going to figure out where the book's going in every chapter. It was a disaster. I just could not do it. I will not do it again. No.
Hey, goes back to what you said. Find out what works best for you and stick with it, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And funny you say you don't know what you're doing, because I believe you do, because you made a switch from writing romance novels to thrillers and won an award for your first ever thriller. So it seems like you do know something.
Yeah, I guess I did. I was never, honestly, I jumped off of romance because I think it's of most authors like to start there because it's formulated. It's kind of an easy thing. I'm not, now don't get me wrong, it's not an easy thing to write a book, but the romance, basically, it's kind of lined out for you, if you go by the classic romance rules. And when you move from that to writing thrillers, because there's no rules to writing thrillers, it's like writing horror, you can end it however you want, it doesn't have to have a happy ending, you can go any way you want with a thriller. I've always wanted to do it. As I read thrillers, I've always read thrillers. I've never really been much of a romance reader. Because to me, when I would read them, they were all the same. So I would lose interest in them, because it's every story's the same. It's just with different characters. So, but I've always been a romance reader. And I was afraid that I wasn't a good enough writer to do it. Because writing a thriller is a little scary when you've never done it, And to make sure you keep the people's attention, and it's not boring, but it's not too scary, but just scary enough, and it's way more difficult, but I'm much more comfortable with thriller. I just was never really comfortable with romance. It just wasn't me. I mean, I did it. Wrote several good romances. It just, wasn't my home, that genre.
So the homies weren't in the romance section. That's good.
Mm-mm.
That's right. No. Found your new home in the thriller area now.
Yeah. And I still had a tendency to put romance in my books And when I found my publisher that I have now, they are a thriller, mystery, suspense publisher. That's all they publish. They told me, you need to market yourself as a thriller author and cut most of this romance out, which was like it was like a security blanket, I think, for me, because I knew it and I'd already done it 4 times. So I was like, but once I took their advice, because I do feel that they do know what they're doing, you know. So I took their advice and I took it out, and they were 100% right. I mean, mostly out, you know, but the last 2 books I've done don't have any romance in them. And I'm including the one that is coming out later this year. That one doesn't have any romance in it. It made better books. So I've stepped away from it. I do have a dystopian romantic suspense that is coming out this summer. I wrote that with author Cynthia Austin. That one's coming out in Detail magazine. And I've never done that genre before, but the idea was just too good to pass up. And so that's coming out in Detail magazine, and that is going to turn into a series.
Okay. All right. So dystopian romance. All right.
Sort of. It's like a dystopian suspense with a romantic subplot, sort of. We'll see how it comes out, because like I said, I'm writing it with somebody else, and she writes like romantic suspense and paranormal romance. So we'll see how it comes out, because it's both of us, but we write really well together, so it's coming out really good.
Oh, okay. Some tango swag. All right. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's right. All the alien probes and romance. That's right. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
indeed. They kind of go together. Yeah. Didn't see that one coming. Oh, man. So since this is far from your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're in the metaphorical hot seat of these interviews?
I can't think of anything. I've done a few of them, and yeah, but there's a pretty broad range of questions I've been asked. So, no, I can't think of anything in particular.
So do you think you might explore another genre in the future, since you get a taste of the dystopian and now you found your lane with thriller novels?
I don't know, honestly. I don't see myself really going back into romance, and I'm not. I really like thrillers. I write psychological thrillers for the most part. I don't think so, but I can't promise. I mean, you never know. I may have just some great idea for, you know, and it could be anything. It could be horror, it could be, you know, I don't know. But as far as right now, I have no plans to.
No plans indeed. Heck, so for those writers out there who may be looking to explore a different genre and they want to embrace their creativity, what helped you to really just find really just the creative juices to go for thriller as opposed to something else? It could have been maybe fully mystery, or heck, maybe even, I don't know, something. I'm drawing a blank with different genres here. Like, heck, maybe even a Western, even though that could be kind of boring.
It could, I mean, if you're wanting to jump from one genre to another, and there are plenty of authors that are multi-genre and they pull it off, but it's difficult to do because basically your name is your brand and you build an audience with your book. And if you wrote, say, a fantasy novel, that's a very loyal group of readers right there that read fantasy, and they love fantasy. That's all they want to read is fantasy. And then you put out the fantasy and you build all these fantasy readers. Then you want to decide you want to write a mystery. You're gonna have to build a whole new audience for that book. So that is, you got to be real careful with that, and that's why some write under 2 different pen names and whatever. It's way more difficult to do jump back and forth like that, because you're essentially building an audience with each genre that you write. I jumped from romance to thriller slowly, because Crazy Love is the one you're talking about, the first one that I did, and it is a romantic. It's got a heavy romantic subplot in it. It's like a blend. I mixed thriller and romance together. Then I kind of slowly wheedled the romance out over like 3 books, to build slowly my readers without just jumping so quickly from one to the other, because I didn't intend to move back to thriller, but I did it over the course of 3 books. So hopefully it was slow enough that it wasn't so drastic and shocking.
Don't worry. When the muse hits you and shocks you, you're just passing the shockingness to the rest of the folks who read it.
Mm-hmm. I like to shock my readers. Always twists and turns and that. Oh my God, I love doing that. I love that. And I love doing that to my readers. It cracks me up. I'm like, oh my God, I did not see that coming. I can't believe I gasped right in the middle of the hair salon or whatever, I love doing that to people. Mm-hmm.
I can definitely understand. It's like for your own game of amusement, so freaking hilarious. It's like, and then they have to put the book down in the corner. It's like, book, you've been naughty today. You got to go in the corner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like twisting it up and the shocking ending that you weren't expecting. And I love that. I love doing that. So far, the last one that came out last July, Carnal Knowledge, is the most epic ending that I have written. And I've read some people tell me that it is like hands down one of the best ending they have ever read. It's a shocking ending. It's like, oh my God, did I just read that? And it's the best ending I've done to date, and I'm not sure that I could ever top it. One that's coming out later this year. It's just so full of twists and turns that I can't really say that the ending is shocking, but it's just like one twist after another. You just don't know what the next chapter is what's gonna happen, what it's gonna bring. But yeah, Carnal Knowledge, that was the best ending that I've ever done. It'll be a trick to try and beat it.
Oh, don't worry, you could do it.
I hope so.
Oh, ain't no hope you will. Yeah, you will indeed. Because that means you got plenty of life ahead of you. Heck, I remember one author talking about how his mentor in books asked him one day, it's like, oh, so John, what's your favorite book that you've written so far? And he thought about it, and he was like, you know what? The next one. And then he told him, like, hey, you know what? That's the right mentality to have. So make the next work the best possible work you can make it, because you're always going to get better with each one.
It's true. I really try to get better with each one. And honestly, I can say the one that I am writing right now, the 4th book in the Deadly Sin series, is the best one that I've written so far. It is. I really think it's going to be the best one. But I'm only like, I don't know, 1/3 of the way through it. So.
Well, there you go. The glass is 1/3 of the way full. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. Soon it'll be overflowing before the editor comes and drinks some of the water and puts red all over it.
Basically, but that's okay. They always make it better.
Yeah.
They really do. They really do. Because after we've edited it and read it and edited it and read it like 3 or 4 times, and we finally send it in, and we were blind, to what it is, what's in it. I'm grateful for them.
That's right. Grateful like 2 hands together. That's right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in 2021 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Hmm. If I was 25 again now, like I woke up tomorrow and I was 25.
That's right. You'll be even younger than your husband again. It'll be freaking amazing. You'll be far
Right.
younger. You'll have the ultimate advantage again. You already have it, but it just got tenfold.
Right. I would say doesn't really matter so much what people think. Is you think that it does when you're 25. You know, because as you grow in age, you realize that you cared so much, you were so worried, and everybody gave you all this advice, and you know it just was so overwhelming at the time, and now it's like whatever. It's just so different now. I'd be like, yeah, it doesn't matter, just it's okay, just be whatever about it. Everything's just so dramatic, when you're 25.
It's like, oh my gosh, the world's gonna explode. No.
Yes, everything's
No.
just such a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's okay. It'll be fine.
Exactly. You won't need a mental health day just yet. You'll be just fine.
Right. It's gonna be okay.
That's right. The hangovers won't hurt as bad yet. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't do that no more.
Ah, just like a tree, we call that growth.
Right.
Oh man. So for those who've grown to love you and all that you do and want to keep up with what you're doing and buy all sorts of copies of all of your books to come and the ones you have out, what's the best way for folks to reach out to the radiant Rachael herself?
My website, RachelTamayoWrites.com. You can send me email. You can see what's up to date, all my books. And that's the best way to reach me. I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. And yeah, and all my books are pretty much available everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all that. So you can pick them up just about anywhere.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to the wonderful show notes. Click on Rachel's side. Follow her on all the social medias. Buy 9 copies each of all of her fabulous books. Read them. Share with your friends. Share with your goldfish. Heck, share with the camel.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that Hump stores all the copies of Rachel's books to spread to the wonderful masses, folks. So that way they can be thrilled. It's like, wait, why did this come out of a camel hump? It's a thriller. It's supposed to thrill you. Like, that's the point. So that way we can spread this around like butter on bread, folks. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, any parting words before I close up shop, Rachael?
Well, just thank you guys so much. I absolutely love hearing from readers. So reach out, tell me the good, the bad, the ugly. I love hearing because you guys inspire me. Thank you.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.